Bienvenidos todos a la primera entrevista de Aspas como jugador de Leviatán. Good night, Aspas. How are you?
Good night. Very good, and you?
I'm very good. I'm a bit nervous, okay, because this is new for me, and we have a lot of illusion about your sign. Well, first, I'm Lembo. I'm a streamer from Spain. I'm fan of Leviathan. My community are very happy about your sign, and we want to speak with you, no, about this sign and about the project of Leviathan because we are very excited about the project. No?
Same for me. I'm very excited as well.
Okay, we have a translator, okay, only in case of emergency, because I don't speak Portuguese. I only know say one sentence in Portuguese is Você é muito gostosa e muito linda. This is the only sentence that I learned in Sao Paulo. Is good?
Depends.
Okay. And for
It
me,
depends.
this
Depends.
was good. Eh? This worked very well in Sao Paulo. Is my
It
experience.
worked.
Yeah. Very well, very well. But obviously we will speak in English. But if we have some problem, we can speak in you can speak in Portuguese or I can speak in Spanish and the translator will translate. Okay. Small lo saluda para
Okay.
que te conozca.
Olá, Aspas. Me apresento,
Opa,
seus muros.
prazer.
Epa, te translator.
Prazer. Me
Translator.
trazendo só pra você, cara, tá?
Tamo
Okay.
junto. Né?
Obviously, I'm not a journalist. I'm only a streamer, and this is an interview with between friends. You know, so it's informal. But the first question is about the sign with the Leviathan, obviously, because for us this was a dream, no? This was a dream, but for us this was impossible. We started a campaign in Twitter about Gira Aspa, Gira Lev. We post a edit you with the shirt of Leviathan at the and the trophy of champions. But for us, this was a okay. We will try, no, but this was impossible. Mm, how Aspas are in Leviathan, no? How was the process for ending in the team of Latin America?
Hmm. How can I say? Like, I choose Leviathan because I liked the players that they had. Like, I was looking for a team that could win because my main goal it's to win. So for this, I need a good team. And with a good team, I can win and achieve my goal. So like, my main goal wasn't money and anything, was to win. So basically, I was looking at things, and I think the Leviathan team is very good, and like the core is very strong. So that was the reason that I chose Leviathan, and I'm very happy to be here.
And for me, too is this is so difficult because we have a lot of things in North America, no, with a lot of budget, and we know that you have a lot of offers in the market because you are one of the most valuable players in the Valorant scene. Therefore, for example, some speak about North American teams or for the team. Obviously, we will not speak about the teams, no, with the names. But why you choose why you decided enter Leviathan and not the other offer? No, what is the main points of the offer of Leviathan for entering in the team?
Mm, like, how can I say? Like, as I said before, my main goal is to win. And when I was like looking, and I see the Vitan core that was like keeping, I think it's a very strong core. So like King, Mazino, Nosware. it's a very good core. So I was like, if I join this team, I think I can like maybe win champions again. And it's something that I want so much because when I won was a very good feeling. So that was the main reason. Um, like the offer was really good, but the main reason was the team.
Okay. 1 second, we need to test because the people are saying that you have the microphone of the camera, maybe in Discord.
Maybe Guido is here to help me.
I will say him to help. Only for test. Gente, vamos a probar porque
Test.
mucho me estáis diciendo el micro. A ver si está el micro de la cámara o no. Hola.
Test one. Well, now it's normal? How it is now?
This is better, I think. Ahora está mejor, ¿no, gente? Vale, sí. Ok.
Yes, I think this one. Yeah.
No, this is perfect. Now it's perfect.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because it had like so many options.
Don't worry. This is perfect for us.
Oh, nice.
Okay, and about the project of Leviathan, one of the problems that the people are speaking in Twitter or in other social media is about the language, no? Because obviously we don't know the last player, we will not know it this night, but it's obvious that you will speak in English in the team, no? Some people say this is a problem. Aspas will don't be okay. And the question is for you: is the language a problem, or what is your adaptation to speaking English with the team?
It's not a problem because I'm very comfortable. When I was leaving to like find a new home, one thing that I had in mind was the fact that I wanted to like communicate in a new language. So I wanted to speak in English or maybe some Spanish or Portuñol. So this was something that I already had in mind. So it's not a problem.
About the players in the team, do you have a player who is special for you play with him because you follow in the past, or you say, okay, I have a lot of synergy with the teammate?
I like NZR a lot because he played in Furia, so I already met him sometimes. Like I think I like saw him in the airport 3 times. Was in 2022. I saw him in the airport 3 times. So I think it was the destiny for me to play with him. And I like him a lot. He's a very cool guy.
And for me, this is important, no? Because the goal of the club is one thing, but your personal goals in this year is other thing, no? The question, very important for me, is what is your goal with this team, and what is your goal individually, no? For this year, for 2024.
My goal with the team is like I want us to perform the best that we can. So we are going to practice and everything, so we can do our best. I think if we do our best, we can win. Individual goal, I think is to keep doing my best and always trying to improve. Like try new things in the game. Try to be like always doing my best. So always trying to improve.
For me, the problem is because I speaking with other players or other coaches that happen the same, no? You want the Valorant champion very early, no? In the second year, the second champion, you are the world champion of Valorant, and like one of the best player or the best player of the world, no? How this affect for the future, no? Because you could have the problem about say, okay, I have my goal completed. I have the Valorant champions in my house. how you make with these feelings, no? When you end the season and for the future.
I think this is something that like keeps motivating me. Like if I didn't won, I would still want to win because maybe for a lot of people it's a dream to win champions, and it was for me as well. And I won champions, and by winning champions, I got like, oh, this feeling is so good. So I want to keep being like winning. So for the future, I want to win more, so I want to win more things because when you win, you have such a good feeling. It's so good to be there. So for me, uh, it's basically just keep trying to be the best of myself.
Okay. This is for the chat, ok. Lo digo en español, lo digo ahora en inglés también. Voy a leer preguntas del chat, pero si me las haces en inglés, mucho más fácil, porque no tengo que cambiar el idioma a la hora de leer, que si no ya me lío del todo. For the Portuguese people, if you want us, if you put the question in English in the chat, is more easy. If not, at the end of the interview, I will read in Portuguese and in Spanish too, but in English is more easy for the interview. Okay, I have a question. This is important, especially for the Portuguese fan. I think you have a lot of fun in Brazil. How is the feeling about Left Loud after 2 years and 2 very important years with the team? No, you won a champion. You make good relationship with the fans, with Sada, with other mates. How is the feeling of okay, I need to leave Loud and start a new project?
I'm very grateful by everything that I had with them. They gave me the opportunity. Everything happened because I was with them, so I'm very grateful for them. Now for me, it's like a new journey that is starting. That I left Loud and now I'm on Leviathan.
No. What is your first impression in the other side with the Leviathan fans? No, because we start to put edits and photos in Twitter before your sign and after your sign. I understand that these are crazy. What is your first impression about the Latin fans? No.
I liked it a lot. I got really happy, and I found a guy that was doing really good memes. I think was Levi and something, but like he did some really good memes and so funny, and I'm really happy.
Yeah. About other question about the team, because the people are asking, no? This is the bad part, I think, because it's about the exit of Shai, no? Shai say goodbye to the team yesterday or the other day. The question is, what is your opinion about that Shai don't stay in the team, no? Or what is your opinion about the change, no?
I don't know, like how to say, because I didn't play it with Shai, so I don't have like a opinion formed. But I'm excited for the new player, if I would say something.
You have a good relationship with new players, so you have synergy.
A little bit.
I have rumors about your ranked that you was destroying the ranked together, no? The people say me.
Nah, I don't know anything about this.
Okay. Don't worry, only 20 minutes for the official
Right.
news.
Yeah, we are almost there. 20 minutes, 20 minutes.
Okay. And about the project, Leviathan have a change in the coaching staff too. No, obviously it is not official with the person, but we don't speak about the name. What is your relation with the new coach? And do you have a speak with the coach before the sign? This was important for the sign, or what is your opinion about the coach and the new project, no, and his idea of Valorant?
Uh, Before the sign, I spoke with him a little bit. I think was 1 or 2 times. He's a really cool guy. I like him. Like I like everyone in the team already. I talked to them, and everyone here is so cool. They're like making me feel so comfortable. So I like everyone here already. um, so I talked to him 1 or 2 times. It was really good seeing that the coach was a cool guy.
And I see you very happy, and I'm happy too. you know, I understand that you like Argentina, no, because you are now in Buenos Aires. How is Buenos Aires like city? Are the recibimiento, the welcome of the other people of Leviathan in his house, Fer, Teseo, and the staff. Are you happy in Buenos Aires? Is the question.
Yeah, I'm happy, and I have one thing to say. The meat here, oh my god, so good, so good. The meat is so good.
You,
And I
do you
ate one
taste
thing.
asado?
Yeah, we got asado in the second day. No, first day,
Ah,
first day. In the night we got
incredible.
asado. Oh, so good, so good, so good.
What
And
is your
we ate
favorite? Chorizo? What is your favorite?
uh oh, I tried the entraña.
Entraña. It's
So
so
good.
good. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And they had a cheese. I think it's uh I don't know the cheese, but was a cheese with a red thing under.
Oh, cheese with that.
Yeah.
Maybe
And
the
it was cooked.
Argentina of the chat. Proboleta? Sorry to
Yeah, provoleta. Oh my god. No, best cheese I ate in my life. Oh
Oh,
my
this
god,
is incredible.
provoleta.
This is
Yeah,
incredible.
provoleta is so good. So good, so good.
For me, this is difficult because in Brazil you have a very good food too, and the meat is incredible in Brazil too. Picanha, for example, for
Yeah.
me is incredible. But in Argentina, it's other level. It's a religion for me. It's incredible. Okay, Aspal, but I'm speaking and reading the question of the chat. Gente, si queréis preguntar ya es el momento, pues yo tampoco tengo muchas cosas más concretas que decir. I want to ask about the other teams, no? Some need confirmation, tal, but for you, what is the main rival for the next year, no? And what is the first the main rival, the team that you say, okay, this is scared me, or this is difficult for play. In the other side, what is the team which you have more, you want more to play, no? To you say, okay, I want to play against this. The favorite or the more difficult team, and the favorite for you for play, no? To say, I want to play against them.
Yeah, it's very easy to answer this question for me because in my whole career, my rival was Optic. That now it's NIG, and we played NIG a lot as well this year. So for me, still then, like they have the core. I like to play against them because they are very good. So it's NRG for sure.
Okay, I will read about the chat, okay? Okay, the people are are making a question, and I need to make. You can give the answer or not, what you want. But the question is, are you excited to play versus Loud, or this will be difficult for you?
I think it's going to be normal. Like when I'm going to play a tournament, I play all the teams the same way. So I I do the best in doing my preparations against everyone because every game it's important.
Okay, it's one team more, no? One rival more for you. For me, this sign is important too because you are the first Brazilian player that signed for Latin America, and understand Latin America like ese Brazil, no? For a Argentinian team, no? For example, in Leviathan, and this is important too for the community, no? You feel? Do you feel that this sign called unificate the community, no? The Brazilian community and the other Latin American fans.
I think this is something that like can unite both communities. Uh, uh, you say that I am the first one to join Argentina
Yeah.
org.
Yeah, I think so. Well, in Valorant, obviously.
Oh, in Valorant, yeah.
No.
Yeah,
For
so-
me, in Valorant, is very obvious that the Brazilian fans are insane. I love Brazilian fans. I was into looking and was incredible. But the Brazilian fans was in one way, no? And the other Latin American fans, Crew fans and Leviathan fans, one in other way, no? It's two communities separate.
Yeah.
Do you think that now with you in Leviathan, we can unificate the two communities? It's possible that Brazilians and other Latin American fans cheer together.
Yeah, I hope so. I would be very happy if this happens. I think with Leviathan, this can happen. And like, I love the Brazilian fans, and I already like a lot the Latin community. So I really
Uh,
happy.
And the first feedback about the Brazilian fan was positive because in my head it's possible that you say, okay, Aspas left loud to go to other thing, other region. I said, okay, I don't like. Or what is the first feedback of your fan, no? Your community or your Brazilian fans, no?
The feedback that they give in my choice, you're saying?
Yeah. No, about the sign when this is official, no, you are in Leviathan. The people are saying, "Okay, I will cheer Leviathan. I know Leviathan fans," or the people are saying, "Okay, good luck, but I'm Brazilian fan. I with at Brazilian team only." What is the first feedback that you read in the social media?
I didn't have time to saw much things, but the ones that I saw was good feedbacks. Was good feedbacks. Like people saying that they would try for the Leviathan and they would try for me, and like I'm very grateful for this because one thing that like gets me very motivated is the fan support because like without the fans, maybe I wouldn't be here because like I appreciate that a lot. So I'm very grateful.
We are speaking a lot in the chat about possible results or Leviathan. No, now that you are signed and now we will know the last player, but everyone know about the leagues. The people are speaking about okay, the goal is win the champions. We are the top one. Are you worried about the expectative that the people have about the team, or this is a motivation for you?
I think this is like a little bit of both. Maybe it's more of a motivation because I know the potential of the team. Like I think for next year we maybe can start slow because we are a new team, but we have the same core, so that's good. And this will like be one step ahead for us. But we still are a new team, so maybe we can start a little slower, but I think with time we can get to our best.
No. And for me, it's difficult play with the pressure, no, because you had the pressure. You was Valorant champions. You was one of the best player in 2022 and in 2023 too, because you play in the Valorant champions, incredible. Uh, you feel a lot the pressure, or you are comfortable because always have it, and you say, okay, let's go. What is your relationship with the pressure of your level, no, or of every age on you?
I am very comfortable and like as I said, when I see my fans supporting me, I get very happy. So I am really comfortable. But there's something that like when I have a tournament, I don't look too much at social medias. I like to be like in just focused with the team. So how can I say like a bubble, like a team bubble. So we are just
No.
ourselves there.
Yeah. The people are asking a lot about the players your teammates, but especially is asking about King, no? Because the Brazilian fans in the start say, okay, let's go, Loud King, play with Aspas, that. Finally, Aspas and King will play together, but will play in Leviathan, no? What is your relationship with Kim and what you expect about this duo, no? This Aspas King, two incredible players in the same team.
Like King is so good. King is so good. Like he shoots different. When he's shooting, something is different. Like about the movimentation, some stuff like that. Like it's different. The guy is really good. He has the sauce, I would say. Like in Portuguese, sometimes you say that the person, like I'm gonna say in Portuguese, it's ele tem molho. Like he has the sauce. Sometimes we say this in Portuguese, and like King has the sauce.
One second, en Morlo nos puede traducir eso porque eso eso no lo pilló del todo. Creo que necesitamos traducción ahí.
Molho is sauce.
Es como decir molio es salsa, pero lo que quiere decir es como que tiene el sabor, se mueve, como
Tiene
dice
el
Lucas,
sazón, ¿no? Tiene el sazón que digamos en
tiene
latino.
sazón. Sí.
Vale. Me gusta, I like it as fast, this expression. Okay, people, everyone know the meaning except me. Sorry guys, I need to ask. Sorry. Gente, estoy leyendo ya cosas del chat, ¿vale? Para como un poco dividir todo. We have a question. This is very important. Aspas is the most important question of the interview because in the Spanish speaker fans, this is a big doubt. It's about the sing. Why you name Aspas Sing, Kawan Sing? What is sing? Because in Spanish we don't know what is the meaning.
Zin is like little, so it's like little aspas, little kawan.
Aspas Sing is Aspas Chiquito. Oh,
Yeah.
no, incredible. Okay. I promise you that all my fans this week is the only question that every people send me in the DMs, in the chat, man, okay, I will ask. I don't know.
Little aspas, and we have little kawan as well.
Little aspas. In Spanish we say aspas chiquito, and this is so
chiquito.
good. Incredible. Okay. Okay, this is important because LeBlanc is asking about the offers in the market, but we know that you have offers for other region, no? Probably APAC, probably I don't know if EMEA, but APAC sure, no? From the beginning, you said that you will play in North America or go to other region, to other VCT was a possibility, and if it was a possibility, why you stay in VCT America finale? No?
Was a possibility, but as I said, my main goal was a team that could win because I want to win. So basically, I was like, I accepting. I can go anywhere. So I could go to EMEA, I could go to APAC, I could go to China, but I was looking at the team. So I was looking at the players. So
The most important.
I can achieve my goal.
I understand that the most important for you to sign for a team is the competitive project, no? O sea, the possibility of win a champions or play the champion, no? This is more important as the money, is the question, because is the other side, no, on money or wins, no, is the finale decision for all the good players, no.
I think it depends. Like, some people can want the money, or maybe like, if they're like in the last years of the career already, money is more important. But if it's like someone that is young and he wants to win, maybe the team is better. So it depends. Like in some cases, like someone is already 28, so he's already like almost finishing his career. Because the career in sport is not long.
Like in Messi.
So, yeah. so if I would say someone that is 28, he's probably going for the money because it's the best for him. Like he needs to make his life because his career is almost ending. So it depends.
Yeah, but for me, it's clear that in VCT America and VCT EMEA is where you have more possibility to compete in the champion, no? Because you have more rival, better price, no? Almost by the moment, no? Is my idea.
I think APAC is very good already. They made some good teams, and China is coming. China is coming.
Do you think, because a lot of people say that we have 2 years and China will dominate all, no? Because we have EDG, we have other team, and the people say 2 years more, and this is the League of Legends, no? China or Asia dominates all. Do you think that this will happen, or we can resist?
I think we can resist, but they're coming very strong already. But I think we can resist.
Okay, Aspas, for me the interview is done, okay, because I speak about we speak about all, but in 5 minutes, Leviathan have a news. Do you want to react together to the news? Okay.
I didn't saw that. Who is the player? Can you tell me?
Okay, well, we will wait, okay, and react together. The last question on the interview, the other was a joke, okay, but this is the most important question in this interview, I'm sure.
Okay.
Is about Crew, is the major rival of Leviathan, the same region. Leviathan took the top 1 of Latin America one time. The last year, Crew again take the top 1. This is the more big rivalry in the region, no? And one person of Leviathan, Kesnit, said that they will destroy Leviathan. And my question is, what will you do with Crew the next season?
I need revenge. Like it's 1-1. I won one time and lost one time, so I need like to win one game so it can be 2-1. So I'm excited for next year, and maybe I can get revenge because 1-1 I'm not winning.
This is the time break, no? Who won this year is the winner. Okay,
Yeah, like,
we have Aspas. I'm very very quiet with this. Okay, I will read some questions of the chat. Okay, along with, only for wait for the new it. Okay, if you want. Gente, es vuestro momento de hacer preguntas. Puede ser de cualquier tipo. De hecho, yo pediría ya que no fueran demasiado serias porque la entrevista ya está terminada. Pero para tener unas últimas palabras vuestras, terminar la entrevista y irnos a reaccionar al anuncio del jugador de Leviathan, que no sabemos qué va a ser. Leviathan says in the chat, what is your opinion about the community manager?
The community manager? Is the community manager Nacho?
No, Nacho is the psychologist, I think.
The community manager is the...
No sabes quién eres, ¿eh? No sabes quién eres. Yeah, este guy on Twitter.
Wait, who is the community manager?
I don't know it. Candy. Candy.
Candy, a friend told me about him, and he's really good. He's the guy from Twitter, right? He's really good. Yeah, he's really good, really good.
Okay. This is the good answer because if not, you never appear in the social medias. For me, only 3 minutes for the post. Okay. The last part of the interview, no. I will do it in your language, okay? Because I think it's better. Smorlos, te necesito. ¿Estás ahí?
Estoy.
Vale, para finalizar, sí que me gustaría que mandara un mensaje a la afición de Leviatán sobre un poco qué pueden esperar este año y cuál es, o sea, lo que él quiera decir a todos los aficionados de Leviatán que nos están viendo. Me gustaría que lo hiciera en brasileño porque creo que así se puede expresar mejor, ¿sabes? Y luego lo traducimos, si te
Uhum.
parece.
Vale. Então, que mensagem você tem para a afição do Leviatão? E a mensagem dar em português, para você se sentir confortável e, sabe, poder se expressar bem.
Uma mensagem para quem?
Para os fãs do Leviatã.
Não. Pessoal, eu espero que vocês possam me apoiar nesse ano que vem. Eu espero poder ter a torcida de vocês, ter o carinho de vocês, porque isso é algo que motiva muito eu a estar sempre querendo melhorar, estar sempre querendo atender a expectativa de vocês e estar, tipo, sempre fazendo mais para sempre agradando vocês. E o carinho de vocês é muito importante para mim, então eu espero que vocês possam me apoiar nessa próxima season.
Ok, Morlo, ¿nos lo traduce al español para la gente que no habla portugués?
Sí, no, incluso hasta se me fue ya la paloma. Pero no, lo que espera es el recibir el cariño de todos, estar bien, que esperan tener una buena temporada esa 23-24 que viene y quiere mucho que el apoyo, los ánimos y que siempre están apoyándolo a él para este nuevo proyecto. Y que el cariño es de los fans, es lo que los motivan a seguir adelante y estar mejorando. En resumidas palabras.
Ok, gente. Thank you, Aspa, for the interview. This is the end. I'm so happy for speak with you. This is the sign that we have more illusion to happen. And I said you, for me, it was impossible. This was, in the start, it was a meme, but it's incredible that this sign is real. You are in the channel to speak about the sign. I think that we have a very good year with you. Thank you for staying here.
Thank you so much.
And now the interview is done. Now we will
Thank you so much, Lembo.